recording. Audio's good. Just move. Alright, recording, audio, and let's get it started. Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be making a Mark Knight and Toolroom style tech house track from scratch. To hear the finished track, you can snip to the timestamp at the top of the description now. I'll give you a moment to do that. And yeah, so like you can see, I've got a blank project file here, and I'm going to be going from this to a finished, mastered little template and track in this style. Now, as usual, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI and presets. Everything that you see here, and also that I'm about to create in this video, is available at the top of the description on my Bandcamp. This is a great way to support me, guys, if you guys are really enjoying these videos. And yeah, let's dive in and get started. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my kick, and we're going to go to, let's do like 120, I want to do 124 or 126. Let's do 124 BPM. And what I'm going to do is we're going to just put in quarter notes on the kick, you know. Pretty standard sort of business there. Alright, there we go. And then we'll drop a bit of saturation on here. I usually keep my kicks pretty dry in tech house, all things considered. Like, if you guys have seen my other videos, you know, with the kicks, you don't really need a whole lot if you have like a really solid sample. Like, if you look at this waveform, you can see it's got like very fat transient, very nice, long, and fat body to the sound. I'm actually going to shorten that a little. There we go. And it's just all around like a solid sample. So yeah, if you have a really good kick to start with, you're not really going to have to do too much. You know, the saturator just gives it a little bit of an extra boom. But cool. So next step is we're going to make a bass line. I'm going to get operator here. And we're going to make something based on sine waves. I like using FM for these tech house basses. Or FM synthesis. Because you can get those like very kind of deep, fat tones that still have like a nice mid-range to them. So we'll take that and alright, I'll just start programming in some notes. So we're gonna be in G. I'm pretty sure that's the key of this kick. Okay, so this tuner is being weird, but I have used this kick before, and I'm pretty sure that's in G. So we're gonna just write something in G. Now, when I'm writing tech house bass lines, I keep it really, really simple. Like, especially with these more Toolroom style tracks, like, you don't want a whole lot of notes. You guys have seen my other videos about this, and you've seen, like, you know, it's usually just kind of like 2 or 3 notes. Maybe something like this, you know, taking that same kind of pattern. There's something simple and groovy like this. Again, it's only 3 notes. I think I'm actually going to play around with these, like. Yeah, let's do that. And cool, so we'll turn these down a little bit because they are clipping. And we can start processing the bass. So I usually like to do a bit of drum bus on the bass, actually. As you can hear, it just really fills it out nicely. And then I'll usually sidechain it to the kick as well, you know, because to really get that, like, kind of groove like you hear in these tracks, you need to have the sidechain to the kick. Because now the bass has a little bit more of a pulse to it. And as a result, we have a lot more groove. Go past that a little. And then we'll boost the lows a little as well with the EQ. There we go. And then we're going to put these in a group together. And then on the group, it's kind of like I was saying, like, we really don't need a whole lot. You know, we already have a pretty solid sound. We just need some kind of saturation on here to glue these together. You know, this is how you really make your kick and your bass line and the low end overall sound really full and really together. So again, without this, and then with it. So yeah, there we go. Cool. So I'll name that really quick. Low and bus. You know, I try to keep my tracks named inside of these project files base. There we go. Because, like, you know, I used to be like that where, you know, you think to yourself, oh, you don't want to, why would I want to spend time, you know, organizing this and putting names on these? Of course, a lot of times it can seem a bit convoluted and a bit unnecessary, but it actually does make the workflow a lot smoother, and it makes it a lot easier to kind of go through and just work with things. Because now I know the low end bus is this is where the kick and bass are, and I don't have to mess with it too much after that. But cool, so the next thing here is we're going to get the hi-hat and the claps. I have this hi-hat in here, which is very much the type of hi-hat you'd hear in one of these tracks, you know, just this really fat, punchy, clear, sharp sounding hi-hat. So we'll take that and just put it like that. And then we'll turn it all down a little, or just turn this down a little. And then we're also going to get the clap. So I like to kind of work my way up with the groove. You know, it's like we're starting with the most simple elements, the kick, the bass line, and then moving on to the most basic drum elements. And then we're just kind of working our way up from there. And then the idea here is we're sort of creating like our sonic palette, so to speak. It's like, you know, we're putting this all together, and it's just like how when you paint a picture, you wouldn't right away, you know, just start throwing paint on the canvas. You would kind of take your time and, like, put a few colors together, you know, see what works well, blend a few colors, just see what looks good together, and then you would go about actually painting the picture. That's what we're doing here. We're putting different colors together and seeing what's going to work. But there we go. There is pretty much the groove. And then I'm going to put a little bit of saturation on that hi-hat just to make it hit a bit more. And then we'll put these in a little group together too, with just a bit of drum bass on the group. And I think I'm going to change the bass line up a little bit at this stage as well. You know, we're just getting, like, all the main elements really hammered out here by seeing what's really going to work. You know, like, here I'm going to try having the syncopation in the first half, and then the second half will just be straight eighth notes. But yeah, that's going to be a bit better. Like, you're just kind of playing around. Like, you don't have to just set everything and then it's done. Like, you know, you can make a bass line and then later come through and change it like this. Now let's go just to there. that sounds pretty good. I'm gonna take the clap and pitch it down a little bit. There we go. And then next up I have some like these shakers in here where it's a little bit of a loop, but adding that just gives you like more of a kind of lively sound, you know, because you can't really get like those sorts of percussions just by sitting there and programming it out. Like, you're not going to get it to really have that kind of like groove and swing that you get from, you know, sampling something that was recorded live. So that's the idea with this. And then I'm just going to take this and we're going to do like a and again, you can hear when you add in that live shaker, that's what you're getting. It's like, it's really just going to bring it to life and make it feel like it's got some real percussion going on in there. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to get a drum rack, and I have some other hi-hats here. Like, we have these closed hi-hats, those two. And then we also have this tambourine. And I'm just going to put those into the drum rack. And then we're going to just add these in the groove in different places. Like maybe we'll turn these down a bit. But then I'll turn the volume this one up a bit. And I think what we're also going to have to do at this stage is bring in some groove, because as you can hear, this is very rigid. You know, it's very just but we need a little bit more like in there with like that kind of 16th note rhythm being very swung. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the chord library here, and we can just grab this Logic swing. I like these. These are like really straightforward. But now we can put those grooves onto some of our sounds. I'm trying to choose which one. There we go. Like, we'll put it on this percussion, and then we'll put it on the bass line, and now we have a lot more life and groove in our beat. And then what we can do also is, if we don't like this one, you can just go in and literally just like drag in another one onto this groove pool here. So yeah, it's pretty useful. But what we're going to do is just keep going now with this pattern. Nice. And then I think I'm going to have this tambourine just going like, because when you have that like that constantly going, it adds a certain like flow to the groove that you just can't get in a different way. So yeah, we'll actually just cop that. Alright, that sounds cool. And then let's actually just use that as it is. Now you can see it's starting to fill out, and it's not that hard. It really helps starting like from the most basic elements, like from the kick and the bass, and then the most basic drums, and working your way up, because now you can see we have a pretty solid foundation here. I'll name this percussion bus. But now we have, you know, a pretty solid foundation here, so we can go in and get creative and start playing around with different things. Like how you can see, you know, I'm just sitting here playing with the different placements of the percussion and stuff like that. Like, if you don't have the foundation down pat, you can't really just start doing that. You have to kind of like get it down, and then you can mess with this stuff. So let's take this, and I will name it Extra Hats. We'll turn this up a little. And cool. Now there's gonna be one more thing we're gonna do here in terms of like percussion. I've got this drum rack here, and then I'm going to just bring in all these different sounds that I have here. The snare, this rim shot, and we're just gonna put these along with these 5 percussions here into a drum rack. And this isn't gonna be super in your face, but it's just going to be kind of in there, you know, adding a few extra little notes here and there, just adding a bit to the groove. That sounds cool, but it's not really tech house. Alright, so now we just have a bit more groove in there, you know. It's important to really get these like different layers, because this is a pretty full groove without this drum rack. But you can see what having that little bit of extra stuff in there really does to help it. And I'm also going to try bringing in some of these actually, because we can just take these and put them like here on the upbeats, and then these are gonna fit in there nicely as well. Alright, there we go. So that's a little bit less busy now. But yeah, so now we have the percussion really filled out. Again, it's important to have these layers, because if you just have like, you know, these, like this does sound pretty full. But you can hear what adding in these extra layers does. And how much better your groove is going to be. Another thing is, like, I think of it with this style as kind of like, you know, the percussion and the rhythm section, the bass, the kick, all that stuff, that's really like the lead here. You know, in another track, you might, or in another style, you might have like a lead synth, and then this stuff would just sort of be extra rhythmic stuff. But in the case of a tech house track, I really feel like this stuff is like the lead. Cool, and then yeah, just doing a bit of mixing. Cool, and then I have these little like vocal samples in here as well, which I'll go here. There we go. And I think I'm gonna take these and just try to make something like some sort of background stuff. Like we could have this one. just super simple, but very groovy because it's just. And then we can make sure it's in key with the bass line just by pitching that up. Which sounds a bit crazy in the moment. There we go, now it's in key, and then we can shorten that because I want it to just be and then I'll put a little bit of a fade on that as well. So we can just do like that, just so that we don't get any clicking. Nice one, and then we'll put a bit of reverb on that. And some drum busts, because I like how that fattens these kind of sounds out. Alright, cool. So there's vocal stab 1. And then I've got this low pass on there. So it's just basically like, this kind of atmospheric vocal. But then we can play with this low pass throughout the track. And it's going to give us some stuff to automate and really like bring the track to life. I'm going to also take this one. And we can just kind of chop it up a little bit. And you can see like the power of just having a few little vocal phrases. These aren't really even anything. There's barely any words. But just having this stuff is like adding a lot to the track. Alright, then we'll get that in key with the bass line as well. Alright, and then that. So the first one had to be pitched a little bit differently than the second one. But yeah, there we go. And then we'll put a bit of delay on there, which I'll just use echo for that. Maybe we'll do like dotted quarter notes. And now we get something like really hypnotic. Because we're getting this like. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. So now we have pretty much like every element of the track. There's definitely a few different things that are going to come in and out throughout, actually like making this into a full track. We're going to add some effects. We're going to add a few different things. But for now, this is pretty much like the main core of the track. So I'm going to start arranging the track. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut everything, which I just selected all, and then we're going to paste it here at bar 49. This is typically where the first drop would be in a tech house track like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start grabbing stuff and bringing it to the intro to get the track started. So we'll start with the kick, and we'll get like maybe the hi-hat and the clap, and then like the mid percussion. Here, I'll just copy that. And then that. And then that one. And yeah, I'll put a little bit of drum loss on the mid percussion too. Cool, so then there's that part, and then we can have this keep going into there. Maybe at this stage, we'll bring in the shaker. Now I'm also going to have a little high pass filter on the low end bus here. So this is just going to be cutting out the low end. This is done in a lot of tracks actually. But now we're getting that like alright, there we go, just pushing the kick up. But yeah, so now that's just cutting out the low end in the beginning. And it's that like super recognizable sound, and then when we come to here, we can even do a little bit of like, you know, just little stuff that's gonna make the intro feel that much more exciting and just better in general. And now we're picking up. Now we'll keep going into here, and then I'll have like that drum rack of percussion come in. So now we've introduced most of the drums, and we can actually start bringing in the bass line here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the bass line just actually do this in the intro. It's literally just going to go bo-da-doom, bo-da-doom. Like that. So basically what we're doing is we're just teasing the bass line. This is a really great way to kind of space out your elements, because, you know, if we just have like this whole loop playing in the beginning, it's going to be kind of boring. However, if we have this, it's a little bit more driving. And it feels like we're just kind of like, you know, we're getting up towards something, but it's not quite there yet. And I think what we're actually going to do is we're going to save the shaker for this part, and then we're going to bring in this percussion a little sooner. And then yeah, we're actually going to save the shaker for there. And the kick's going to be filtered up. Well, actually, we're just going to keep it going there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make this breakdown here, where it's going to be pretty much everything playing, except the kick and bass are going to be filtered the whole time. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I was just kind of feeling it out there. I'm gonna have the kick and bass filtering up pretty much through the whole duration of this part, and then at the end the kick will disappear. Alright, there we go. And then we can start bringing in this vocal a little bit sooner as well. Like, I'll have the main vocal just kind of coming up from the beginning. And then what'll happen is in the break, we'll have this. The ooh, ooh. Yeah, like that. And then now we'll drop right into it. But then what's going to be happening with the main vocal is pretty much through that whole intro. It's just going to be filtering up. So like here, you may not even hear it for a while. And now we have this nice kind of tense atmosphere building in the break here. Alright, now I'm going to attempt to do a long snare fill here. What we have is we have this 909 snare. And then this is like typically the snare you would hear in these tracks. You know, it's just like a kind of like constant 16th note build until we get to the drop. So I'm going to actually try just having this come in like literally right at the start of this. And it'll be a 16 bar little just kind of build up. Let's get some drum bass on it. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you recognize the sound if you didn't know what I was talking about already. That's it, that snare build you hear in all these tracks. And then let's do like a little, when the snare cuts off there, we'll make it go. Like that. And then it just goes super smoothly into the drop. And then the key to this is we put a utility on it. And then you just kind of have it building the whole way through. Like, literally just from the start to the end. Now, we won't have it start out so low, though. And then what I'm going to do to make this a little bit more exciting is this going to go like this. There we go, that's the pattern. And then at the end, we'll still do that like I had. But this will just kind of make it a little bit more exciting. You know, you have to think of little details like this that you can add to make it so that it's not just, you know, the whole way through. You need to really have it feel exciting and fresh and like something new in each track. So that's that. And then we've also got the swing on there. there we go. And then the final thing is just that little high pass filter on the end of there. This is just something that I've noticed, like when you make these kinds of snares, it helps to have that little filter at the end just to make it transition a little smoother. Here, compare that to this. Yeah, it just makes it a little bit smoother. So, yeah, and then now that we've got that, we can kind of get some more effects in here for the break. I'm gonna just make a big like white noise here. So we'll just get operator, and literally all it's gonna be is just 1/16 note long note, and then we'll switch that to white noise, and then we'll automate the frequency on this bandpass, and there we go. And then that's just gonna be like a really simple sort of building effect, and then we'll go into here. So it's gonna start and go down and then come back up. Exactly like that. And then we'll take this, just give it a little high pass filter, bit of reverb as well. Alright, right on. I'm going to turn the clap up a little. And there we are. And then we'll start working the drop a little bit. I'm just going to make this a bit longer. So we'll make it, usually like a tech house drop would be like about like that. So then what we're going to do now is we're just going to have this main vocal going through here. And I'm going to have it just kind of automate up and down throughout. Like, it really doesn't matter exactly how you do it. It's just a matter of having like some sort of movement in here. You know, you want the sound to feel alive and like it's like not just kind of sitting in the same place. And now you just kind of get that sense of like building and changing with the sound, which is good. It makes it more dynamic. And then what we can also do here is just grab the other vocals and have those in a few different parts. Like, those will come in here. And then I'll have them here as well. Nice. And then we really just need like a few more things to kind of tie this whole thing together. I think the first of those is going to be just a little crash. So we'll just get a little crash cymbal here. Try one of these other ones. Yeah, let's use this one. So we can just take that and drop it right when the drop starts there. And then I'll put a bunch of reverb on that too. And then we'll put that throughout the drop too, like in some different places. Maybe like this. Nice. And then we're also going to need the next thing, which is going to be just a few little parts like with the kick filtering up, the kick and bass filtering up, I should say. Like, you know, just taking that auto filter we put on there and just automating it to filter like there. Maybe it's going to filter there too, and then there, and like this might seem like a lot, but this is again the little things that are gonna give it like a lot of movement and a lot like just kind of bring it to life. And I think actually what I'll do is I'll do a little breakdown in here where this whole part will just be filtered up. And we can maybe copy over the snare and the white noise too. Oh, we need to get that a little bit up higher. Right on. And then I'm gonna also make some little like white noise bursts for the drop. So literally all this is gonna be is just like operator, white noise. I will high pass it a bit. Like that, and then I'll just copy the reverb and the high pass filter. I guess we don't really need that there. But then I'm also going to copy on the sidechain from the bass so that this just has that like kind of sidechain. And then we can just kind of have this just play like either a little stab like this. Or maybe here we'll have it play like a little bit more of a pattern. Here we could do like nice. And then the final thing that we need to complete this track here is we actually need a little like sort of string in the break. And what I mean by this is this sound that you hear in a ton of tracks. I'll just copy this one or grab this one from my Injuna Deep tutorial. But what this is it's just going to be like that high string note like that. So yeah, we just need that in the break, and maybe I'll have it over here as well, just to kind of like give it something to build a little bit more tension on top of there. And what this will do is we're just going to have it play one note. I will get that side chain as well. That definitely needs to be side chain. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to just put this auto pan on here, where you can see how I have my auto pan set up. So by default, the phase is on 0. So it's just affecting the volume. It's not actually panning the sound. But then it's on quarter notes, and we have an inverted saw wave, so you can see. It's another way to get that pulse. There we are, and then I'll just put that here too. Cool, and then we just need to do something on the master here, which in the break, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this utility, and we're turning the gain down -3, and then this utility is just going to come on in the break. So this is just going to make the track a little bit louder in the drops. You know, once we do the mastering and stuff, the dynamics are really going to make it so that this isn't really making the track any quieter or anything like that in the break. It's kind of just going to make it like a little bit less powerful and a little bit less hard hitting than in the drops, but it's gonna make a big difference when it comes to like the overall track. And yeah, you can hear that now, but again, it's always a little bit different with mastering on there. Now, I'm also gonna take the crash and just put this through the intro, like there and there. And then we'll also do like a little build with the white noise just here. 'Cause I think that's a good place to put one. And then, alright, there we go. We just copy that onto there. Yeah, copying the automations makes it a lot smoother, I think, when you actually go in to do it. You know, it makes the process a lot faster and the workflow a lot faster too. Bring in some of these little noise things too in the intro. And cool, there we are. So now we have the full arrangement, the full track is in here. I'm gonna just take everything and listen about like here and just kind of do a bit of mixing. We just want to maybe bring up the kick a little. Bring everything down a bit as well. And alright, that's good. And cool, so now it's time to master the track. So what we're going to do is we're going to take an EQ8 here, and right off the bat, I'm just putting this on the master. We're just going to do a low end boost and a high end boost. And so what's happening here is the low end boost, we're kind of just focusing the track a little bit. You can see like we're just boosting the lows and the highs, the two main ranges in this style of track that are really going to kind of make the track feel a lot cleaner and more focused. Here's without this. And then with it. So you can hear how it gives that like just extra bit of boost and fullness to the sound. And then I just turned the gain down -1 because of the fact that this tends to make things a little bit louder and a little bit louder than they really should be as well. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to get a saturator, and I'm going to turn the drive up +4 and the output down -2. So same deal as with the EQ. The output there is just to kind of like compensate so that the volume doesn't get too loud. But the saturator is really gluing everything together and fattening it all up nicely. It's the exact same thing as putting saturation on like the low end bus, for example, and how that makes everything feel, you know, a lot more full and kind of fills in the spaces there. That's what this is doing. So here is without the saturator. And then with it. Oh yeah, you can hear, you know, it's just giving it that extra bit of fullness. I'm actually going to turn the drive up. Actually, no, we'll keep it at 4. From there, we're going to get a compressor. I'm going to just take this and turn off the makeup gain. I'm also, random thought, but I'm going to change the color of these. When I have two different clips on one track, I like to put them at different colors. It makes it easier to see what's going on. But yeah, so we will take this compressor and turn off the makeup gain, and then we're going to turn the threshold down a bit. Which, let's go here for this. And we're not going to do a whole lot. We're just compressing the peaks of the sound, because if you do too much compression, it's going to flatten it out. You're not going to have a very dynamic track. But if you just do enough, it kind of just evens the mix out a bit. And we'll also turn the attack up a bit so it doesn't mess up any of the transients. So here's without this compressor. And then with it. So you can hear it's subtle, but it's adding that just extra little kind of fullness boost. And then the final thing here is we're going to get a limiter. And I'm going to use this to just drive the gain up a bit, so that we hit 0 dB, but then we're also going to boost it a little bit past 0 dB Because if you listen to professional tracks like by Mark Knight, the tracks that release on Toolroom, Defected, all these different labels, they're not just pushing it to hit 0 dB. If you just push this like this much so that now we're hitting 0 dB, this isn't going to be as loud or as professional as other tracks in the style. So you really have to boost it. And I usually boost it maybe to about like there. And that might sound a little bit crazy, but again, really compare your track or this template, if you get it, which link is in the description. Really compare it with other tracks in the style, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, this might seem like a lot, but it is actually like, now we just have the track as loud and as full sounding as other tracks in the style. And how it should be to make a proper tech house track like this. And yeah, there we are. So that is it. I've gone from a blank project file to this finished master track. Let's listen to this whole thing from start to finish. And cool, so there it is. We've gone from a blank project file to this nice finished master track in the style. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full template and MIDI and presets and everything from this video, all the samples, this project file, is available right at the top of the description on my Bandcamp. It's a great way to support me. If you guys have been enjoying these videos, guys, I don't make a whole lot off of them, but with these sample packs and these different things, I'm able to support myself and keep making you guys great videos and teaching you guys stuff that isn't out there on the internet about how to make these different styles of music. So yeah, Like I said, link right at the top of the description, and you can get this awesome track to work with on your own. That's me for today, guys. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.